Hey, welcome back. It's day 15 on this project. So what we're going to do today, we're going to continue on to install the valve cover here on bank number 1. I've already got the seals cut over there. I'll show you there in a second. Just make sure before you put this on, look at this area real good. Make sure you don't have anything drop down in there, any debris, dirt, hardware of any type. That'll make a bad day. So make sure that's all cleaned up. This is all nice and dry. That sealant kind of doesn't like to stick to oil too well when you're applying it. So make sure those surfaces are dry, or it is kind of like you'll just push it instead of it actually adhering to the metal. You're kind of going to just push it around. And like I said earlier, kind of pay attention to these areas up here up front. These are more critical for leakage. So I would put a little extra sealant in here, through here, and through here, just to make sure this is all sealed real well. The back is not as critical because it has these cavities to where they kind of seal themselves. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and look at this valve cover. And I've already got the seals cut here. They're all cut to size. I put them on the motor side already, sized them on the head, trimmed them as necessary, so they're all trimmed up. Make sure this is all cleaned up really nice. So we're going to go ahead and apply some anaerobic sealant to this stuff now. Like I said, all these parts here are supplied by Fur Parts, so if you got any Ferrari, Maserati, Lamborghini needs, call them, give them a call, and they'll hook you up. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, take these off, apply our sealant on here. Like I said, a little goes a long way. We're going to apply it on both sides and go from there. All right, I've got my seals in place now. These O-rings now, make sure they're in the grooves. Those are real critical, or you'll have a leak there. They'll like to pop out of there. So make sure they're down in the grooves. I'm having a little bit of a problem with this one. I'm just going to see if I can get it, keep on popping out. Make sure this groove is really clean. And I'm going to stick some more sealant on there, and hopefully it holds. But yeah, pay attention to these O-rings. They're very small, very bad design. The 360 has the same kind of principle, but the O-rings are a lot bigger, a lot better design on the 360 than the 355. So I've got sealant on all these items here. I've got my anaerobic sealant all over here. So this is all ready to go. This is all nice and clean. Like I said, I'm going to try to put that O-ring in there, put a little sealant on there, and hopefully it continues to stay in there. But yeah, that's kind of a pain. This little O-ring, like I said, they are very bad for that, for popping out. So when you're doing this, kind of pay attention to what's going on there. Hopefully this sealant here will hold it in there, and I can slap the cap on or the valve cover on real quick before it tries to move out of position. So, all right, so we've got the valve cover on, all the hardware is installed. We just got to secure it. Like I said, you want to secure this, torque it from the inboard out, working out. As you can see here, just by snugging these up, not quite torqued, I'm getting like sealant pushing out of here, so that's a good sign that we had enough sealant. Like I said, you don't have to use very much of this stuff. A little goes a long way. You can see it right through here also. Right through here. So we'll wipe all that stuff down and then torque these up, and then we may go ahead and fit the spark plugs next after that. All right, so I'm going to install these spark plugs, all right? I checked them all for any damage. I did check them for gap. When you're installing this thread lubricant, which this is Champion 2612, this is what the Ferrari manual calls out. Just make sure that the electrodes here all look the same, the gap's the same. Make sure that's not bent. Make sure the insulator's not cracked. If there's any signs of droppage, they're junk. So throw them away. So if you have any plug that you've dropped or known has been dropped, you get new ones because they can be damaged. So when you're installing this thread lubricant here, try not to get it on the electrode because it will foul it possibly. So maybe keep it back just a little bit here as a good practice on when you're applying that. And then these are NGK PMR 7A. This is what the manual calls out. So the gap should be correct from the factory. You cannot gap these. They are pre-gapped because the electrodes are so small you'll end up breaking them. So you can check them, but you can't adjust them, okay? So if you want to check them, just be gentle with them and try not to break that center electrode. But anyway, we're over here. We've got this all ready. Like I said, we have both valve covers torqued up. I did check down each hole. I took a scope and checked to make sure there was no debris down in the cylinders, because that's the last thing you want is a nut or washer that has made it down into the cylinder. That'd make a bad day. So anyway, this is all ready, cleaned up. So we're going to go ahead and install these plugs on both sides and then install the harnesses and everything. So there is a torque for these plugs. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Get this stuff out of my way here. It's not on that page. Yeah, I may have passed it there. I think it's like 22 Newton meters, something like that rings a bell. But not for sure here. It's pretty low. Spark plug, 9.8. I'm sorry, it's 9.8 Newton meters spark plug. All right, I'll have to figure out the equivalent of that. It's probably going to be a little bit over 78 because 8.8 is 78. So it's going to be a little higher than that. But that is your spark plug torque. Okay, 9.8 Newton meters. All right. All right, so I've converted it over. The spark plug is 9.8 Newton meters or 86 inch-pounds. All right. So we're going to go ahead and set that torque wrench up and torque these down. All right, so we just completed finishing torquing our spark plugs. So this should all click. Like I said, 86 inch-pounds. And then now we're going to go ahead and fit our spark plug wires. They're sitting over here. They need to run through here. And we'll get those all fitted and nice and organized here. So they sit in here because you got to put this gasket and other cover on there. So we're going to go ahead and get those fitted up. All right, so we kind of cleaned these up a little bit. The cylinders were leaking, so I took a little bit of alcohol and that, wiped them down, cleaned the boots up as much as I can. So this is bank 2. This is on the driver's side. So this is cylinder number 8, 7, 6, 5. So 5 is towards the bumper. 8 is towards the front of the car. On this, and like I said, this is bank 2, and these harnesses should be numbered right here. This is like 8, and so forth. And I'm going to go ahead and stick a little dielectric inside the boot here a little bit, so in the future we don't have any issues with them coming off. So I'm going to stick a little bit on there. I've got some right here in a tube. It's a little silicone grease. Made for spark plugs and that. So I'm going to put a little dab. You don't need a lot. And I'm going to put it right on the end here. You know, see here. Take a little bit like that. And I'm just going to just stick it on the end of the boot here, okay? Kind of move it around. Spread it around in there, you know. So it kind of like lubricates it. You don't need a lot. So, I'm going to do that to each one. Maybe a little bit more than that, but not much more. All right? All right, so I've got my wires in here real nice and neat. There's a little bracket right here that holds them in place. There's another little bracket that kind of sits down in here. Make sure these sit down in here nice. And then I kind of just ran them as nicely as I can. They should snap into place. Like I said, the cover sits on here, so you don't want them up too high. So these should be all right. I'm kind of concerned about this, but I think it's going to be all right. I might have to, it looks like it's below the surface there. But anyway, there's another seal that goes in here. It really doesn't need to be sealed on. This is a dry compartment, so there's not really any kind of sealing that goes on in this area. I mean, if you do have oil or something that eventually gets in here, it's because of your O-ring that's failed down in here. I mean, this is basically a dry bay, so you really don't need to seal this area. You just put the seal in there, put the cover on, and go with it. All right. You can see that I have the seal in place right now. There is an up and down side, so fit it in there however it needs. The label was down, so you can see that this open end is back here. You're just kind of sitting in there. Like I said, there's no need to seal this down because it's a dry bay. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the cap on here. That should fit on there just like that. And we'll put our screws in there. All right. We've got our cover installed. All our screws are in. This is a number 4 Allen head here. These are countersunk screws that are not flush. We did put a few other new ones in here. We were missing a couple. So these are supplied by Fur Parts. Like I said, contact them if you have any parts needs. We have, like I said, a few other. This is what they look like right here. You can see they're like a countersunk on the back side here. And like I said, they are number 4. So just snug those up. You don't have to go crazy on the torque on those. Just like I said, just do them evenly and you'll be fine. All right, just make sure you're not pinching your coil wires back here. So you might want to take a look. Make sure everything looks good. You know, like everything's in a proper order here. So anyway, we'll continue on. Since we're done on this side, we're going to go to the other side, do the exact same thing. Like I said, these are all snugged up now. We're going to go over here and put our coils in. This is cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 is up towards the firewall, and 4 is against the back of the bumper. Okay? And like you see, you're going to run your wires through here real nice and neat, so they can fit in here nicely. And like I said, this is a dry bay. We can put this seal on here. We don't need any sealant. And we'll go ahead and get that out. We'll get those placed in there and put the cover on. All right, so we've got our plug wires in here. Like I said, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure they are going to sit below this area right here. They're all nice and neat, routed nicely. Make sure you don't pinch them. Like I said, we'll place this gasket in here, put the cover on, and then we'll be done with this. All right? All right. We actually must have ordered the wrong seal for here. They are different left to right. This one is actually a little shorter, so we're going to have to hold off on installing this seal, but it's not really going to hold us up. This can be installed at any point. So we've got our wires ran. We've got them attached over here on the side. We're going to go ahead and install, at this point, some stuff on the back here. These covers for the back of the valve cover here, for the back of the cams. So we've got the one here on bank 2 we're going to install. And then we can install this cam position sensor 2 right here. We can install that. Make sure you trim these seals back here on both sides, because you don't want the cap sitting up. You'll have a leak. So we'll have to trim those on both sides there. But we're going to go ahead and get those ready. to install with some new seals and everything. So this is a cap here. This goes on the end of bank 2. So we're going to take this old seal off, put a new one on there. It takes 2 nuts here and this 1 bolt, a couple washers here. So we're going to get this ready and proceed on. Clean this up with some Scotch-Brite again. There is probably a direction that this goes. Not sure. It may fit better one way than the other. Just check it out. Now this does have a bigger hole. See right here, this one hole is bigger. So that's going to fit over like a bushing. It may have 2 here. See, this one here is smaller. So we'll look over here and see if there's any bushings on this. I'm not sure. This seal is made for 2 positions. So there is not a bushing on this side. I think it is, if you install it on the other side, bank 1, there is a bushing that this fits into. But I believe this is the same part number for both sides. I do have another one, and it does look the same. So that really doesn't play for this side. I mean, just like I said, just make sure the holes line up everywhere. All right, we're going to use anaerobic sealant on this also and get this ready. All right, so we've got our sealant on there, as you can see. So we'll go ahead and fit it up to the car at this point. I'll put a little bit on the head side yet. All right, you can see I've got the sealant applied on this. Now I'll just install this cap with the new seal here. Like I said, it may fit better one way. We'll have to figure that out. It'd probably be easier if I put the seal on first. Looks like everything's lined up nicely. And there it is. And I'll just put the hardware on there and we'll be finished with this side. All right, so these were 2 number 10 nuts with washers. This is a number 5 Allen with a washer. They're all snugged up now. So we're going to go ahead on the other side here, bank 1, where your cam position sensor here is installed. We'll do the same thing here. But like I said, these have washers right here. So on your gasket, it is going to make a difference on the gasket because there is 2 holes that are bigger than the other one. So the 2 bigger holes are going to go on the bottom, it looks like, and then the other bolt goes on top. So we'll get that ready. All right, so here's the housing for the cam position sensor. Like I said, the gasket here, it does make a difference now. You can see here these holes are bigger and this one's smaller, so it does make a difference on position. So we're going to go ahead and put some sealant on here, seal on both sides. And here's your sensor here. We did get a new one. You can see this one's broke. They do get brittle. So we did get a new one. There is an O-ring here you can see here on this new sensor here. It goes right in here with 1 screw. We'll have to take that O-ring out of there because that's for the old sensor. Let's do that right now. So we'll get this set up with sealant and install it on the car. All right, since the bushings are on the block or on the head, we're going to go ahead and install a seal on this side first. So just to make sure that it's installed correctly and it's nice, seated nice around the, see how it doesn't fit real good? We might have to flip that around. It may make a difference. So get that in there, installed. There it is. It fits on there real nice. So you can see here it's seated real good. I would suggest putting the seal on the head here first. So we're going to go ahead and get the sensor and put it on now. We've got that housing installed. It's a number 10 on the bottom here. And then this is a number 5 Allen again. So our housing's on right now. Make sure it's seated flush around them, the bushings here. They may want to hang up on there. So like I said, we've had this sensor we got to put up here now. Don't forget the O-ring. All right? Here, like I said before here, this is the new sensor here. This is the old one. It's broke. Don't forget to remove your O-ring. Here's a new O-ring here. It's held in with a single screw. I believe that's a 5 again. So we'll go ahead and put this in. You can only put it in one way. We go over here. Should go in something like this. Should seat down in there. There it is. Put your Allen screw in there. Make sure your harness is clear here. And then we'll snug that up. Like I said, that is a 5. Again, this should be already in there. Snug that up. All right, there it is. So we've got valve covers on almost. So that should be complete, really. Like I said, we're just waiting on that one gasket. We'll have to order it from Fur Parts. We got the caps on the ends here. Like I said, don't forget to cut your seals, or you'll have a leak. But I don't know what else I'm going to do today. This might be a good place for me to stop, and we'll continue on in the next day or so. So please stay tuned and subscribe. And thanks for watching.